The bedroom was dim, lit only by the faint orange glow of the street lamp slicing through the half-closed blinds. Elena sat motionless on the edge of the king-sized bed, the one they had picked out together on a rainy Saturday 13 years ago, laughing about thread counts and pillow top versus memory foam. Her fingers rested lightly on the faint depression in the mattress where Mark's body had lain for the last 12 years, longer than some marriages lasted, shorter than forever. The indent was still warm from her own weight, but it felt like his ghost all the same. She wore the same black dress she had worn to court that morning. The fabric clung to her skin, slightly damp from the cold sweat that had broken out when the judge's gavel cracked like a gunshot. Final. Irrevocable. Mark had taken everything: the house in Willow Creek with its wraparound porch and the hydrangeas she had planted by hand, the joint savings account that held every overtime hour she'd ever worked, the silver Audi she drove to her night classes, even Luna, their golden retriever, who had looked back at Elena with confused eyes as Mark led her away on a new leather leash. He had smiled when the judgment was read. Not a triumphant grin, something quieter, more poisonous. A curl at the corner of his mouth that said, "I always knew I'd win." He had shaken his lawyer's hand, nodded politely to hers, and then turned his back on Elena as if she were already a stranger. Now the house belonged to him. Tonight was the official handover. She had until midnight to remove whatever personal belongings the settlement allowed: clothes, books, her grandmother's china that had somehow been deemed marital property and therefore his. Everything else stayed. The grandfather clock in the hallway chimed 11:30. 30 minutes left in the home she had scrubbed, painted, cried in, made love in, screamed in. 30 minutes until she walked out with 2 suitcases and whatever dignity the court had left her. Elena rose slowly, her knees cracking in the silence. She crossed the Persian rug, another item on his list, and opened the top drawer of the antique dresser that had belonged to her great-grandmother. Beneath a neatly folded stack of Mark's old college T-shirts, he had insisted on keeping them for sentimental value, though he hadn't worn one in a decade, lay a small black velvet pouch. Her fingers trembled only slightly as she loosened the drawstring and tipped its contents into her palm. The ring was heavier than it looked. Antique gold, worn soft at the edges from generations of wear. Intricate symbols chased around the band, spirals, eyes, serpents devouring their own tails. No jeweler in the city had been able to identify the script. Her grandmother had called it the old tongue, and warned Elena never to let it leave the women of the family. "You marry for love if you must," her grandmother had whispered on her deathbed, pressing the ring into 18-year-old Elena's hand, "but never give this away. It is not jewelry. It is the seal. It keeps what is inside, inside." Elena had laughed then, young and invincible, certain that love was stronger than superstition. She had worn the ring on a chain around her neck for years, hidden beneath her clothes. Mark had seen it only once, on their wedding night, when the chain broke during their frantic undressing. He had picked it up, turned it over in the lamplight, and frowned. "Ugly thing," he'd said. "Why do you keep it? It was my grandmother's." He had tossed it onto the nightstand. "We'll get you something better." But he never did. And over the years, whenever finances got tight or Mark's business ventures failed or his temper flared, his eyes would drift to the ring sitting in her jewelry box. He never asked for it outright until the divorce. In mediation, when the list of assets grew longer and more absurd, he had pointed to it on the inventory sheet. "That too," he'd said casually. "Antique gold. Could be worth something." Her lawyer had objected. Elena had stayed silent. She had watched Mark's face as the mediator noted it as contested property. He hadn't cared about its value. He cared about taking one more thing she loved. And the judge, exhausted by months of bickering, had awarded it to him. Now it lay in her palm like a sleeping coal. Downstairs, a key turned in the front door. Elena's breath caught, but her heart did not race. It beat slow and steady, the way it had in court when everything she'd built crumbled. The way it had the night Mark threw her grandmother's china against the wall because dinner was 5 minutes late. The way it had every time she swallowed her anger and told herself it would get better. Footsteps crossed the hardwood floor below, measured, unhurried. Mark's footsteps. He was early. Of course he was. He wanted to watch her leave. She slipped the ring onto her left ring finger, where his wedding band had once sat. It fit perfectly, as though it had waited 12 years for the space. The metal was warm. Too warm. "Elena!" His voice floated up the stairs, smooth and confident. "You still here? Thought I'd come check that you didn't take anything that's mine now." She didn't answer. She stood in the center of the room and waited. The stairs creaked under his weight. He appeared in the doorway wearing the navy suit from court, tie loosened, hair still perfect. His eyes swept the room, taking inventory, making sure nothing had been disturbed, before settling on her. He smiled that same small, victorious curl. "Black dress again," he said. "Very dramatic. You always did love a scene." Elena met his gaze. "I'm almost done." "Good." He stepped inside, hands in his pockets. "I brought the final walkthrough checklist. Want to make sure everything's accounted for." He pulled a folded paper from his jacket and held it out like a peace offering. She didn't take it. Mark's smile faltered for half a second. "Come on, Elena. Let's not make this harder than it has to be. You got your clothes, your books, your little nursing degree you're so proud of. I got the rest. Fair's fair. Fair." The word hung between them like smoke. He glanced at her hand. "What's that?" She lifted her chin. "Something you forgot about." Mark's eyes narrowed. He took a step closer. "That's the ring. The one from your grandmother." His tone shifted, sharper now. "You were supposed to leave that in the safe. It's on the list. It's on my finger." His face darkened. "Take it off." "No." The air in the room changed. It thickened, grew heavy, as though the house itself had drawn a breath and held it. The temperature plummeted. Frost bloomed in delicate feathers across the windowpane. Mark's breath fogged in front of him. "What the hell?" He rubbed his arms. "Did you turn the AC on full blast?" "It's December." Elena didn't move. The ring pulsed once against her skin, a slow heartbeat not her own. Mark took another step forward, anger overriding confusion. "I said take it off. It's mine now." "The judge." "The judge," Elena interrupted softly, "didn't know what he was giving you." Mark laughed, short and harsh. "It's a ring, Elena. Old gold. Probably worth a couple grand melted down. Don't turn this into one of your spooky family stories." But his voice wavered at the end. The overhead light flickered. Once. Twice. Then steadied. Mark's eyes darted to the bulb, then back to her. "You're trying to scare me. It won't work. I'm calling security if you don't." He stopped. The ring was glowing. Not reflecting light, emitting it. A sickly amber radiance that seeped from the band into her veins, tracing blue rivers up her wrist, her forearm. Her skin looked translucent for a moment, lit from within. Mark's mouth opened, but no sound emerged. Elena's eyes changed. The soft brown he remembered from their first date, the eyes that had looked at him with wonder when he proposed, were gone. In their place were depths older than the house, older than the town, older than any language he knew. Flat. Ancient. Hungry. "Elena," he whispered, taking a step back. His heel hit the doorframe. What's happening?" "You wanted everything," she said. Her voice was hers, but layered, echoing as though a dozen women spoke through her throat at once. "The house. The money. The life we built. The dog. Me." She raised her hand. The shadows in the corners of the room stretched unnaturally, lengthening across the rug like spilled ink seeking a drain. They moved against the light, defying physics. Mark tried to laugh again, but it came out a croak. "This is a trick. Mirrors or projectors. You're trying to." The shadows reached his shoes, coiled around his ankles like smoke made solid. He looked down. His face drained of color. "Elena, please. Whatever this is." "You insisted on the ring," she continued, stepping closer. Each footfall made no sound. "You said it was marital property. You said I was being dramatic when I begged you not to take it. You said, 'It's just metal, Elena. Stop being irrational.'" The shadows tightened. Mark's legs locked. He grabbed the doorframe, knuckles white. "I didn't know," his voice cracked. "I didn't mean." "You never mean," she said, almost gently. "You only take." She was close enough now that he could see the symbols on the ring pulsing in time with the glow. Serpents. Eyes. Doors. Mark's breath came in short, panicked bursts. Take it back. I don't want it. I don't want any of it. The house, the money, keep it all. Just stop. But it was too late. The shadows surged upward, wrapping around his calves, his thighs, his waist. They were cold, colder than ice, and where they touched, his skin went numb. He tried to scream, but the sound caught in his throat as darkness coiled around his chest. For one heartbeat, his eyes met hers. Wide. Pleading. The man who had mocked her tears in court, who had told the judge she was hysterical, who had taken Luna because he knew it would hurt the most, looked small and terrified and utterly human. Then the darkness reached his throat. His body went rigid. The arrogance, the cruelty, the endless greed, all of it flickered behind his eyes like a film burning in a projector. And then it went out. Something else looked through his eyes now. Vast. Cold. Timeless. The shadows receded, slipping back into the corners as though they had never been. The glow in the ring faded. Elena blinked. Her eyes were brown again. Tired. Human. She was alone in the room. The ring was gone from her finger. Downstairs, the front door opened and closed with a soft click. Footsteps crossed the hardwood, measured, unhurried. A voice that sounded exactly like Mark's called up the stairs, gentle and warm. I'm home, darling. Traffic was light. Elena stood for a long moment, staring at her empty hand. Then she smoothed her dress, drew a slow breath, and walked to the top of the stairs. The figure below looked up at her. Same height. Same face. Same navy suit. But the smile was softer. The eyes held something ancient and patient. Elena descended slowly, one step at a time. When she reached the bottom, the figure, Mark, or what wore Mark now, opened his arms. She stepped into them. The house settled around them, floorboards creaking contentedly. Outside, snow began to fall, soft and silent. Upstairs, the indent in the mattress slowly filled in, as though no one had ever lain there alone.